I took the Skydio 2 out to Canfield Mountain as my new to me 1290 Super Adventure. I got it last fall, but hadn't really taken it out on dirt. I was waiting on a skid plate, which I finally got attached, and it was definitely used today. I centered a couple of times. Definitely out of shape and out of practice on the dirt. My last motorcycle was a 2003 V-Strom while I was in school for a career change. That is definitely not off-roady. I do miss my KTM 500 for things like this, but I try to stick to these a little wider than single track trails. There was a couple of super tight spots with some fallen trees that I had to push the bike around on foot, but I'm pretty happy with the drone. A couple times, as you'll see, this clip is completely unedited. As far as clipping things out, it did kind of get a mind of its own. And I did do, this is I think the second take that I did. The first one I had the height ceiling turned on, and the drone really didn't like that for trying to follow me, and it caused it to get stuck a couple times. But with the floor ceiling or height ceiling turned off, it did just fine. So this is kind of where I had started filming before. And then I go down a little ways and go down to this really nice lookout that I saw. Here I get stuck in improper turning etiquette, and I have short freaking legs. For a very tall and heavy bike, but I have fun. That's all that matters. I do like how some of these shots where it kind of zooms in and out. This is totally the drone doing its thing. Most of the time it works. Sometimes it gets a little out of sorts, like when it does this, but it's really not too bad. I could clip all of those out or create smaller clips, but I actually really like how the drone handled this. Well, at walking speeds, I have another video that the drone has no issues with trees like this, but when I get up to 15, 20, 30 miles an hour, some of these stretches or coming around a curve, the drone just really doesn't like it with these obstacles and the small little branches. But still, I'm very impressed. Mostly I bought the drone for doing things like this, but when I'm more out in the desert or more open terrain, I really have no expectations that this would work. This was interesting where it kind of lost me, and it starts doing some really weird pathfinding, but surprisingly, it does catch up and does find me. I am using the beacon here, and only the beacon. I kind of thought the audio would come through on the beacon, so you might see me talking to myself when we get a little closer, but that's all right. We need to figure that out. I was not using any sort of cell phone to control the drone on this one. We're coming up to this nice little overlook here. And then I really was not paying attention until right about here when I kind of stopped and I turned the bike off, and then I heard the drone flying, so I figured it was still with me. The beacon does beep when the drone hits an obstruction or you get too far away from it, so it will tell you, and so you know when to go back and take a look at it. Here I take manual control a little bit, just because I want to get a little view of the area. And this is just using the beacon and the rudimentary manual controls on it, which is pretty nice. Of course, you can't really control the angle of the camera very easily with the beacon, or at least I can't yet. I'm just still learning about it. So that should be Lake Coeur d'Alene out in the distance, and then the city of Coeur d'Alene off to the right. But I did a little up and down, and then look around a little bit, a little wave. At this point, it's quite a bit of battery left, so I was just trying to decide what I was going to do, and brought it in and I was going to land it. I really, really like doing the hand landings where I just kind of grab it out of the sky. It's super nice, and honestly, it's one of the things that makes this drone completely worth it. But here, I decided to go back into hover, and then I'm going to go down a section trail I hadn't done before, which I kind of looked like it was getting pretty tight, and as we find out, then the drone does get very stuck, and I'd have to kind of manually unjam it with the beacon, which really wasn't too big of a deal. But I think I came to find the limits of the drone with how tight it can go, at least at when following a vehicle. And I have the beacon mounted on a quad lock universal mount on a 1-inch ram ball right up to my handlebar mounts, which works really, really well. I want to get a quad lock mount for my cell phone, or maybe an old cell phone that I have laying around, because then I can see what the drone's seeing and control the height, floor height, or whatever it is, which would be nice. And maybe switch to picture mode, that sort of thing, which you can't really do on the beacon. Drone's keeping up pretty good with me right here, and it's, I think, around this bend or two. I don't know if it just gets too far out ahead and then it gets confused, but like I said, no expectations. I'm very happy with the abilities that this drone has following me through the bush. Lots of whoops, and I definitely need some better springs for the shock in the front, which I have on order. And this, no, it keeps going. And I think this is, yep, this is it. Kind of loses me right here. Gets stuck in this group of trees. And I had stopped because I saw a bicyclist and he waved me by. Because it's the mountain bikes have to yield to motorcycles on Canfield, which is kind of nice. But the trails are definitely pretty tight. I told him there's a drone back there, and then as soon as I got past him, I heard the beeping on the beacon where it said, you know, stop, there's an obstruction, it can't proceed forward. So then at that point, I go into manual control the beacon, and because I can hear the drone, and I just try and raise the altitude. I move a couple left to right a little bit, and then the drone, to its credit, is not running into anything. It's not letting me do anything ridiculous, even though at this point I can hear it, I can kind of see it through the trees, but I don't have a good visual on it, so I'm trying to regain visual line of sight. So I go up, and then I see it right about here, and then at that point it's just using the manual controls on the beacon to kind of bring it in and hover, and then eventually I will do a hand landing. Like I said, those things are amazing. The only way to use this, after doing a couple case landings, I don't even use the case landing anymore. The hand launch and hand landing are really just the way to go. But overall, very, very impressed with it. Can't wait to do some more videos with it on the bike. And I have a big trip coming up, going to Dinosaur National Monument at the end of May, early June, and that's gonna hopefully have some really good footage. And of course, I'll be riding outside of the monument in the park, because you can't use drones in national monuments or national parks. But anyway, thanks for watching.